Thank you for joining me on this show. My name is Steve Umida. I'm the editor of Financial Fortune Media. So today I'm joined by Eizaz from Asia School of Business at the MAHEF convention today in Nairobi. And he's here to engage us about the school and why he's here today. So welcome to the show. Introduce yourself and tell us more about the school. Sure. And then what you guys are known for, and then we continue from there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. Kenya is such a beautiful country, beautiful people. This is my first time in Kenya. It's Asia School of Business's first time in Kenya, actually. And my name is Eizaz. I'm the director of growth and expansion for the Asia School of Business for the Micro Credentials program. ASB is our Asia School of Business. It's a new university. We started in 2015, and was funded from a collaboration between the Malaysian Central Bank and MIT Sloan, which is in Boston, MIT. And what happens is we wanted to bring the best of business education into Malaysia, to turn Malaysia into a global hub, to be able to compete with everybody in Europe, everybody in the US. So far, I think we've done that quite well. And one of the biggest things that you'll know us for is we are a school of practical business. As I spoke to some of the guests who came to the booth this afternoon, they said, hey, you have corporate finance, you have accounting, you have operations. Can't I learn this on my own? And the truth is, in today's age, you can. If someone says you can't learn accounting from YouTube, I think there's something wrong, because knowledge is all over the place. So we have to compete in an area that's more than just knowledge. What we give you, you come to ASB, what you leave with is you leave with a deep understanding of Southeast Asia, how to do business in Southeast Asia, right? And when you leave Asia School of Business, you can effectively tell your employees, you can effectively tell businesses, you can put me in Thailand, I know what to do. You put me in Singapore, I know who to talk to. You put me in Indonesia, I know how to negotiate. Those sort of skills, that sort of experience is something that I think very few schools provide. And you get that in ASB as a student. One of the largest contributors to your project and to your grades is something that we call action learning. And each student is put into a team, and you are put into a company, an actual company that is within Southeast Asia, and you solve a problem for that company, and you make your presentations to the board at the end. Right? So what happens, you have hands-on experience in solving a high-level problem. And it's not your regular internship sort of problem, I don't know, go make me some coffee, go finish this deck. I'm an alumni of the school. I came in 2016, I graduated 2018, and I did my project in Myanmar, right? And I was working for an investment bank in Myanmar. My job was to map out the life cycle of a loan, from application to disbursement to legal action. And that framework that I created, it built the foundation of how the bank built its compliance policies. So these are the sort of projects you get when you're in ASB.
So 10 years later, after the launch of ASB, how would you quantify the rate of success since then, in terms of applications, in terms of people graduating from your school, in terms of the impact these individuals have created out there? How do you rate the success 10 years later?
So, as an alumni myself, ASB has changed my life. I talk about myself, right? I started my career as a musician. I was a professional musician. I played saxophone. I played for the National Youth Orchestra. I've toured Japan, toured Korea. And I also opened a music shop. This was maybe about 15 years ago. And I used that experience that I had in business to apply for ASB. And they said, hey, you've got enough experience. We think you are, quite a competitive businessman, right? we'd like to have you as part of our cohort. Why don't you take the entrance exam? And I passed, and I got into ASB. My first job out of university. Now, I've never worked for anyone in my life because I'm a businessman. I've always been a businessman, right? So my first job was to work for the Malaysian government, and they made me general manager of one of the agencies, right? So I understood what it was like to be on the government side, the public sector side. I talk for myself, but I know ASB has changed so many lives out there. For example, we've had some Kenyan students come in, and some of the Kenyan students have been the brightest and the best that we've had. I have a classmate of mine named Kevin Gitao. He's from Kenya. And Kevin now works for a pharmaceutical company in London. He one of the largest pharmaceutical companies. I had another classmate of mine, Angeline Stuma. And she now is head of sales for one large energy company in Iceland. Right? So I think being able to pivot from where you were to upskill yourself from where you were, I think that is success.
And how strong are your certificates? You said if I'm able to graduate with a master's degree at Asian School of Business, I'm able to work across the Asian market. Does it also allows me to work in the European market comfortably?
So, to be honest, when you do an MBA, right, it's a very personal thing. People come in for different reasons. Some want to pivot to a different career. Some want to increase their understanding of business. Some want to get a promotion, right? So it's all fair. And some people just want to do business. So let's talk about, will you be equipped to get a job, right, in Southeast Asia? I think the fundamentals will be there, because just by nature of going through our program, you understand intimately what it is to be in Malaysia, right? You understand how it would be to do business with Thailand. You understand what will be the restrictions of, for example, of doing business in Indonesia. A lot of our interested parties, right? For example, there's this company, I believe it was from Japan, that wanted to open up a branch in Malaysia. And instead of just opening up the branch, they were thinking, hey, why don't I send one of my officers to study at ASB for 1 year, and after you're done with that 1 year, why don't you manage a branch, because you know Malaysia so well, because you know Southeast Asia so well. So it's the strategic placement of how we use that knowledge, which is very, very important. For example, if an African company or if a Kenyan company says, hey, I want to start expanding my business into Malaysia, into Southeast Asia, into ASEAN, I don't know much about that. You could consider sending one of your officers, to ASB for 1 year. While you're there, do business, make connections, understand the people, understand the culture. I think that there's something that is very, very difficult to do, right? But we've managed to do it.
Let me ask you a very unfair question. It's very unfair. London School of Business, Harvard School of Business, Asian School of Business. What makes you stand out if you were to sit in a similar room with these two brands I just mentioned?
Okay, so unfair, that's true, right? I mean, look, these are very, very established schools, right? Established schools, and they have their own market base, they have their own unique value proposition when I graduate from them, right? So maybe I can't talk about them, but I can tell you what you get from ASB. If I was in that room with a bunch of different schools, right, I would say that we know Southeast Asia the most. I would say we know on a very deep and intimate level what it is to work with governments in Southeast Asia. What is it to work with agency in Southeast Asia? What it is to understand consumer behavior, right? Because you get a very, very strong practical experience here. So the reason of why we established this is because there is no institute that does this in Southeast Asia. We are one of the very few, right? One of the very few that are very, very focused on this. And now, as you can see, the world is kind of changing a bit, right? There's a big interest in Southeast Asia and ASEAN, right? As a place for doing business, as a place for commerce and trade and education. And so we are here to basically respond to that challenge.
We have to know which one we work with. Should we join them together and become a multimedia university worldwide? Thank you so much.
I think my first impression, this is the first time I'm on the continent, right? I mean, look, it's been a very, very friendly, very kind, very, very receptive welcome for anyone who comes here. We may be 20,000 kilometers apart, but culturally, I think we're kind of the same because we are creative, right? We are resilient, and we are survivors. This is what I see, right? And everybody who has come through that booth has shown so much potential and so much hope and said, look, I want to be better. Right? I want to be better. I want to contribute back. I want to nation build. And I see those in people who've come to the booth, right? And obviously, now that my Prime Minister has come, he's given, I think this is also one of the first times, right? A Malaysian Prime Minister has come to Kenya and put together such a conference. And the friendship between Kenya and Malaysia, we've had that for many years, right? And now I think what happens, we're going to take it to the next level, right? Let's expand on that friendship. Let's expand on that collaboration. There's so much that the two countries can do, and I think that's part of our commitment, in Malaysia coming here. But to answer your question, I see a lot of hope. I see a lot of talent. Once again, the Kenyan students who have come to ASB have been extremely successful, and I have no doubt that we will find them here again too.
And as you mark a decade in business, Asian Business School, where do you see prospects outside your own country? I know Africa has been a target market. Where else do you see opportunities, and do you have plans of expansion, maybe having satellite universities outside Malaysia?
So Africa has always been a priority target for us, just because of the amount of talent that you got here, right? All of the guys have come to ASB have been very successful, and we want to get to know more of you. Maybe what we haven't done is we haven't really had a presence in Kenya, in Africa, but I think that's going to change now, together with the Mahe Forum. Priority countries for us, we are a global school. We try as much as we can whenever we have a cohort to have a really diverse mix of people. I'll give you an example. In my class, I had 47 students. There were only about 8 Malaysians. 8 Malaysians. We had 6 Americans. We had one guy from Peru, one guy from Chile, a couple from Australia, from Kenya. So it's that diversity that makes that crowd, learn from each other. You're not learning from the professor, but you're learning from each other, learning from your culture, learning from your experience. And because all of these are usually experienced professionals, you'll be able to take those learnings and implement into your career straight away. And now, I go anywhere in the world. I'm in Kenya. I can find business people in Kenya very easily, right? When I'm in China, I know who to call. When I'm in Indonesia, I know how to reach out to people, and that is something very, very valuable.
Thank you, and I wish you all the very best as you engage with students and parents alike today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're good. Can we clap for them even as they exit?